Hi, everybody.
Hello, Philippe.
Just giving a few minutes for people to join in and sort of, yeah, I'm just kind of 1 minute. Okay, sure. How are you all doing? Just give me about 2 minutes. I think we should just give just a few minutes for. So Philippe is actually from Lisbon. Philippe, unmute. How can you, 1 minute, just.
I know. I was muted because I was quiet.
Oh, okay. No. You can.
I know how to do it.
You can mute yourself, no problem. No. I was just not sure that. I just wanted to say hello. That's fine. Philippe is from Lisbon. He's an expert in all this. Philippe, this is while you're there.
All this. That is a good definition. All this.
Yeah. So you can help me. So
whatever you think, I'm an expert.
Yeah, you are. He's a very old friend of mine from Lisbon. And Nadia, hi Nadia, are you there from South Africa? Nadia, yeah, she's got to unmute herself. So let me just see. Yeah, well, she's probably muted herself, so that's okay. So she can. Anyway, so we will start very shortly. Good afternoon here. I think it's different times. Good morning in Ireland. Good afternoon always in Delhi. Good morning in Lisbon. So yeah, we'll just 1 minute. Yeah. So should be starting soon. Just now. Okay. Welcome, a very warm welcome to our event today, webinar event, and it's the first event. It's the first event of the year because it's been trying times, uncertain times, a lot of chaos around the world. Not only politically, economically, a lot of hardship, and I think it's the time to actually do the reflection, self-reflection. And going and diving deeper into your consciousness and see what are the things that kind of elevate our spirits, our human spirits. So I think with that, I would, Feng Shui was something that I thought was Feng Shui and Vastu. These are things we live every day in our spaces, where intimate spaces, whether it's work, whether it's our home, where we spend most of the time, and our sleep and our everyday doing. I think it's very important if there is any way we can actually go deeper to find out as to what are the things, ancient practices and traditions that have been passed on for thousands of years, which Feng Shui is, and so is Vastu, and how it has actually improved and can improve our lives, not only particularly in terms of organic health, but also spiritually and mentally, which is very important. I mean, all these elements go together when we talk about holistic well-being of all of us. So I think with that, without further ado, I'm going to ask Nina I open it up and I ask her to introduce herself. Nina is a very noted Feng Shui designer. She does exterior as well as interior, and she also speaks and does workshops, and also hosts a radio show in Ireland. And basically, she's doing a lot of different facets within the Feng Shui arena, and how it sort of both holistically and in terms of actually designs. So with that, Nina, I'll open the floor to you to start it off. Our today's great webinar, and welcome you all. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much, Rumi. Thank you. And just to say, I only have a little regular slot. I'm just a regular contributor to radio and to some other media formats as well. But thank you and welcome. And thank you so much to Rumi for inviting me to speak today. I'm really very grateful. For me, it's very important to spread the word. And I truly believe that we can better ourselves in every way. And you're right, it is very much about a holistic approach to design. So that's the reason why my focus is on holistic design for positive living. And I'm 22 years now in business here in Ireland. And I'm not originally from here. Actually, I was born in Africa, and I'm half Indian, half Irish, just to mention that. And I've lived in many different countries, from Canada, Australia, and so on, the UK, Ireland, and and Africa, of course. And I think that's helped me a lot to take a much more sort of global look at everything. And therefore, I think that sort of works hand in hand, doesn't it? Ties in with that whole sort of holistic approach as well, where you think of everything that, that comes within our realm. So really what I try and explain to people when it comes to feng shui is not just the history and the meaning of it and the purpose of it, but also to explain how that can fit in with our modern day lives, because we have to be practical about the way we implement ancient practices. So first and foremost, feng shui is something, an awful lot of feng shui that's out there at the minute. It could be very much the westernized version or the sort of hocus pocus or internet version. And I just have to, I suppose, correct a few myths about it. I'm an authentic feng shui practitioner. And so in other words, I do the real thing. And I don't, it's nice to do some nice little small things to change colors and to move a few furnishings around, but actually feng shui goes far, far deeper than that. So the first principle of feng shui is to understand about how energy works. And in order to match and harmonize and align energy, one has to take the people, because people are most important, and match them to the places that they live and work in. And in order to do that, you need people's dates of birth. And that will give you an analysis and data which will tell you all about how that person is, how what their best directions are, the best timing for them, because timing is everything in life, and what suits them best in terms of shapes and the houses, house types, and also locations as to where to live and so on. So it's very, very specific and very accurate. It tells you mainly about the three things that I focus on, which is first and foremost your health. So I know from your date of birth what your weakest organ is, and therefore how your health will suffer if things go wrong primarily. And obviously for everybody, health is our wealth, isn't it? And secondly, then I concentrate on relationships, because without relationships, good relationships in our lives, we don't have the support we need. And we all know that as individuals, we are better to harmonize with others and get along with others and collaborate with them and get their support and to support them as well. And then lastly, it's about finances, because of course we all have to pay the bills. So very important that you concentrate on health first, then relationships, and finances last. So yeah, it's a whole combination of different things that I have to do. The first thing I do when I go to see people is I do an analysis of their dates of birth. I look at the timing, and then I take a look at the property, and I look at the surrounding landscape. I look at the house itself and the plot that it sits on. And I look for the tigers and the dragons in the landscape, which is actually the top first thing that you do when it comes to feng shui. Feng shui is actually all about nature and the environment before we actually can look at ourselves. And during that consultation process, I also look at how to increase a person's luck. It's better to be born lucky than wealthy, they say. So very important to improve the luck of the household, reduce down and minimize any negative aspects, and obviously correct any taboos that might be present. So I hope that that sounds fairly straightforward. I can give examples of that as well. Perhaps I can talk through from the entrance all the way through to that the other end of the house, if you like, Rumi.
Yes, I think what would be good is actually, because feng shui, how it sort of ties in with human chi, because the energy flow, and then also, is it something that's coming from the Taoist practices, in ancient China? I mean, we have different things we don't yet know what is, what the roots are, and is it something spiritual, or is it something more of a science? Is it, there's a lot of questions that are actually in the minds, and it kind of hesitates us to sort of see, what is it, how is it authentic, or is it, these are different things that come around in your mind when you look at feng shui. So if you can just go through a little bit of that, and
sure.
And sort of, and then dive into. And the other thing is important is also, interior is one thing, but how does it also an exterior impact of the exterior can also go along, right? So yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, you know, feng shui is thousands of years old, and the Chinese actually perfected. I mean, that's where feng shui is from. And what they did was they looked at nature and they looked at how it was possible for crops to do well in certain areas and why they didn't do so well in others. So obviously, weather has a part to play, but they realized that there was this tracking of energy where you can see the difference between where good energy exists and where bad energy exists. And it's not something that you can necessarily put your finger on. Just because the weather is harsh doesn't mean to say that it's going to be harsh throughout that whole region. There are pockets, obviously, that will do well in any area. So they really looked at that and they began to realize that if you categorize energy, if you work out timing, if you work out the energy that comes from Mother Nature, from Earth, the planet Earth, which is where we get our source feng shui from, then you can find out exactly how to make energy work better for others by mimicking that. So that's really what feng shui is about. And it's all about the spreading of energy, and that's good energy, positive energy. So if we are picking up positive energy from the earth, then we are obviously living a better, more fulfilled life. And that's really what that's about. So naturally, it does tie in very much between Mother Nature and the exterior environment, and Earth and all the energies that travel through Earth, as well as our homes themselves, because naturally our homes are built on planet Earth. So very, very important indeed. And you were saying about some of the other aspects of feng shui as well. And yes, I suppose it's passed, all the information is passed down through generations. So it is very much a secret practice. And as we know, you know, it was at one point no longer respected or wanted in China. So that's made it very, very difficult to get more accurate information on the topic. But once you learn authentic feng shui, you realize, I mean, I'm doing this now 22 years. You know straight away when you walk into somebody's home what's wrong and why it's wrong. And, you know, the whole point is to try not to do the things that go against nature. You don't disturb certain energies within the home during certain years. There's other energy that sits in the home that you don't disturb because it's always there, but it travels around the home. So again, it goes to different areas of the home throughout the year. So this is a way, I suppose, you know, of tracking energy. And remember, I mean, the Chinese have not had a famine, and they've had a population of over 1 billion. And on top of that, they actually invented the compass. You know, they're very learned, and this is very much a science. It is not a belief. It's not make it up as you go along. It's very much a science. And that's what I follow. I follow the science, because otherwise, how can I do my job?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. In terms of the two elements that you have, the key elements, the water and the wind, right? That something comes up in Feng Shui, right? So 60% of our bodies are water, and then we are breathing air, which is wind, you know, from the environment. How does that sort of relate to Feng Shui and also directions, you know?
Yes,
I think this is something that comes up often on Feng Shui.
yes.
So one is the wind direction of where you're setting our interiors or whatever exteriors, and then of course your whole thing on the water stuff. Yeah, sure. I just thought.
I mean, feng shui, it means wind and water. And funny, actually, somebody lost, I think it was 32,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because they answered peace and harmony instead of actually the real meaning of feng shui, which is wind and water. And that just means the spreading of ideas and communication. And it's about the way energy works. Energy takes different forms. And water energy would be very closely related to money. So that's the reason why water is mentioned. And then, of course, the spreading of energy in other ways as well. So it's not, yes, I see that there's a bit of confusion there, but really feng shui is actually about yin and yang and about the 5 elements. And the 5 elements, earth, fire, water, metal, and wood, those elements are actually what feng shui, how you fix and change and manipulate and change and correct and balance energy is through those 5 elements. So don't worry about wind and water, that's not as relevant. It's much more about the 5 elements. And that's how we determine when somebody is born, for instance, you immediately know from their date of birth that Mother Nature has given them the element, we'll say, of fire or the element of water. And of course, if two people meet and one is fire and one is water, they're not going to get along. So I immediately know when I go to somebody's home and they've got marital issues that they're not going to get along, and perhaps this marriage is doomed unless I fix things straight away. So we can't change the energy that we're born with. We can upskill when it comes to communication, and obviously when it comes to relationships, we can try and improve by mixing with the people who are more supportive and work more collaboratively with ourselves, and avoid the people that don't suit us. And the same goes with properties. Don't live in a property that doesn't suit you. If you're born as an East Group person or a West Group person, an East Group person living in a West Group house will just find that they can't get their head around the house. Everything will seem upside down, topsy-turvy, inside out, and wrong way around. Whereas a West Group person living in a West Group house will get along so much better, and their lives will go much more smoothly. So it is so easy and so simple and so straightforward. Of course, it's more complicated when you go to someone's home and you've got to sort out where the issues are. But for the most part, authentic feng shui is follow a simple set of rules that, really it's all about aligning with nature, and it's making sure that you don't go against what nature wants. Does that make sense? So Mother Nature is queen.
No, that makes sense. And you have been also doing a lot of consulting for international furniture store in Ireland. I mean, what I have seen.
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up.
That was just experience.
Yeah,
that was part of my experience.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to bring that up because furniture seems to be one of the key elements when we are actually designing the house, and we practically live every day, and it applies to even offices, right, where we have a workspace. So how is that sort of, what does role it plays, and how do you reorient or sort of reorganize your settings compared to, you talked about relationships, you talked about health, you talked about, a certain room where you like to go retire to sleep, your bedroom. If it's not suitable, then you don't have a sound sleep, which is very, very important for all of us. And how do you sort of, how it each kind of relates to each other? If you can say something on it.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, never forget that the human body is just like the home. The skull is like the roof, the windows are like the eyes, the front door is the mouth. We have to have a mouth and a backside, otherwise the waste and the toxins don't escape. And the same with the house, we must have a front door and a back door. So top priority with any home is the surrounding landscape first, as I said earlier, that takes precedence over absolutely everything. And secondly, is the entrance to the home, because that's where all the opportunities come in. I know an awful lot of information out there is very wrong, and it suggests that you should put a mirror opposite the front door in your hallway. If you do that, it's a taboo. You will bounce all the opportunities, all the luck, all the harmony, all the good relationships, and all the money straight back out the door again. So please don't do that. And then we have to look at the flow of the home, the way the front door and the back door interacts. If the front door and the back door are lined up together, then this is known as a sword through the heart. And actually funny, in Ireland, an awful lot of houses in the old days were designed just like that, with the front door, a middle door, and a back door, all in a row. And if you do that, the occupants will die from heart attack mostly. So these are the things that you shouldn't do. It's all about making sure that there's a lovely flow of energy throughout the home. And the 5 factors that impact most on us will be the entrance, which will take top priority, followed by the kitchen, because that has the highest vibration in the home. So the cooker plays a very, very important role along with the sink. And then after that is the bedroom, because obviously, as you said, you're so right, the immune system is the most important thing, that we have to look after our immune system. And if you don't get a full 8 hours of uninterrupted quality sleep, then you don't function in the same way and you live a shorter life. So I absolutely look at how to line the bed and make sure that there are no eaves over the head of the bed, that there's nothing hanging on the wall over the head of the bed, that there isn't a toilet behind the headboard of the bed, even if it's 20 rooms away, and that the footboard of the bed is not lined up with an exterior exit door from the building, which may be 20 stories downstairs. But you must make sure that you don't do that, because that's known as the coffin position. and again will lead to the demise of the occupants. So I look to enhance sleep as much as possible with the bedrooms. And then I look at, and obviously the most important people in the house all the way down to the children. And the most important person in the house is the breadwinner, because they're looking after everybody. And the person who's the boss in the house is always the person who does the food shopping and the cooking. The person who's responsible for the nutritional needs of the household is the boss in the house. But the most important person to cater to in terms of feng shui, and whose energies will be afflicted most seriously by feng shui energies in the home, will be the breadwinner. And then I look also at the home office and the desk. I look at where the toilets are, and I give people a very good idea as to how to realign the furniture to suit them. Obviously to sleep in the right bedrooms in the right areas of the home, because there are several ways of gauging exactly where the energy sits in the home, from a compass degree direction of the front door, which will tell you exactly what's happening in people's lives, from whether or not they'll make money or whether their business will be successful, all the way through to whether or not their relationships will work out and their health will be good. And then there's a set template, if you like, of the home, which has nothing to do with the modern day version of the Bagua. This is not to do with that. This is actually 9-mansion feng shui, 8-mansion feng shui rather, which is all about the houses within the house, which is difficult to explain. But that's actually another school of practice that I use as well. So I combine about 4 different schools of practice to look at all the different layers of data and do an analysis that way. And then, of course, I look at the exterior setup as well as regards the rear garden, not just the front garden. So everything, the whole point is to enhance all of the lives of the occupants and to improve their health overall, first and foremost, followed by their relationships and then their wealth.
Is there something, just another question, just what about kitchen where the food is, you said it's important. What about toilets? What about bathrooms where you take showers and all that? Is that particularly because most of them are attached? Some are actually away from, in certain houses, away from, kind of from the main bedrooms. They're like a common toilet as well. Is there something that it should be in a certain space, or it should?
Yes, I can explain about that. Absolutely, Rumi. Very good point. Always put the lid down before you flush the toilet, and only flush the toilet maybe every 3rd or 4th time, unless you absolutely have to. So remember that the toilet is the wasting, draining thing in the home. It'll actually reduce down the health of the occupants, and it will reduce down your wealth. So the more toilets a home has, the less wealthy you will be. So minimize the number of toilets. We don't need a toilet off every room in the house. And also keep the door to every bathroom where there's a toilet present closed at all times. That is sewer energy. It's the lowest vibration. Whereas the kitchen, that's an entirely different story. That is the highest vibration in the house, as I said. And it's where all the nourishment and the nutrients come from. So if you put the 2 rooms together, as in one over the other or one directly beside the other, then you're bringing harm to the household, because every time you flush the toilet, you're emptying the contents into the saucepan and then eating that food. So it's a taboo. So in every home, more or less, that I go into, the very few homes where I haven't had to correct that issue.
Sounds very good. I think that now we need to move on. Actually, very, very good. We're going to come back on the questions later. Now I would like to, and as I said, I mean, she is a designer from Ireland and consultant. So you could just, you have a link, you can write her an email, and then we'll come back and discuss. Now I would like to actually move on and to come into the East. And we have our honored speaker and discussant, Angel. Are you there? Angel, are you there?
Yes, hello.
I can see you. Yes, yes. Yeah. So this is Angel, Dr. Angel. She's actually Iranian Turkish, but based in Delhi. Kindra, you are from India. So, we have from Kindra, is one of the audience. He's from the north. Anyway, yes. I was saying that we talked a bit on the Feng Shui aspect from Nina, and then I'm
Yeah.
going to move into Vastu and a few other things that you were going to discuss in regards to the practices that have come across from this particular region. And I will leave that to you to sort of give us a perspective on
Yes.
on this. This is Dr. Angel. Please, yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on board. Thank you, Nina. I truly enjoyed and note down a few points. It was very useful. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
as we all know, everything in this planet Earth, in this cosmic universe, is based on energy. Some call it Vastu, some call it Feng Shui, Japanese call it Waisai. So it's really, everything is based on energy. As Nina said, and I was listening to you, and you mentioned everything, most of the points that I would like to share, it's almost the same that you said. I mean, the only thing that I can mention here is a slight difference between Feng Shui and Vastu is the elements that we are using and you are using, and or you name it. You have wood and metal in the elements, in the 5 elements, wood and metal. Instead of wood and metal, we have air and space. Okay, the rest is, I mean, if you need to know Vastu, it's like knowing ABCD to know English. You need to know directions and elements. There are 4 main directions in Vastu, which is north, east, south, and west. And sub directions, which is northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest. And the most important direction and the most auspicious direction in Vastu, unlike Feng Shui, is north. In Feng Shui, your auspicious direction is south. For example, in Vastu, we don't keep any main door on south, any entrance on south. We believe that north is much more auspicious and it's much more positive if you enter to the north, towards north. And the interesting thing, and I want to share with you, it's about the 5 elements that we use in Vastu, which is air, earth, fire, space, sky, and wind. So, in fact, human body is based on these 5 elements. I'm gonna give you more few points to understand better. For example, in our bodies, muscles, bones, and skins are represented as earth elements. Okay, and the blood in our body is represented as water element. Breathing is represented as air element. And our body temperature, our energy, is represented as fire. And cavities of our body is represented as space or sky. And we have, I'm gonna give you some example about the same elements when it comes to our own space, living space, like home. For example, cement, irons, bricks, whatever we are using to build up the houses are represented as earth. Bricks are made of soil and water. So you have the water element. Then when they want to make these bricks, they mix the soil and water, they heat it up. The fire comes in. The fire element is there. Then after heating, it goes to the drying process. So they keep it in an open area. The sky is there, air is there, wind is there. So what we do on Vastu, which is a, I can call it a mystic science, a mystic Indian science of designing home based on energies. At times, I need few informations about the date of birth, as Nina mentioned earlier. The date of birth can help me. The direction and location of the plot is helping me, which is connected to river or to some electric boxes, or facing what is facing, for example, forest, or facing hospitals. You know, it's all about energies, which we are inviting it, and we are trying to balance the energies between our bodies and the places that we are living. For example, the imbalance of these 5 elements in the nature brings climate change, like thunderstorms, for example, like earthquake. The elements, if the elements are imbalanced, it brings so many things. The imbalance of these elements in our body brings sickness. Same happens to our living space. The imbalance of the energy will bring unhappiness, losses of finances, relationship effects. So with Vastu, we are trying to balance all the energies. And we are using elements at times because, you know, in Vastu, I mean, I had few projects. I mean, from the buying the plot, I mean, people, when they want to buy plots for the big projects like hotels, factories and all, so they fly me all around the world to choose the plot for them. If I have a chance to see the plot and choose it for them, that's really good, because then I can sit with the team and then make the plan, and then based on Vastu, help them to make it more pleasant to live in, to work in. But if I don't have a chance and I am not the one who chose the plot, and I am just the one who is visiting the place after it's already there and people are living there, so I need to use elements like pyramids, like crystals. Then I will involve metals. Then I will mix it a bit with your feng shui as well, just to balance the energy. And the main focus, of course, in the Vastu is the entrance, which is entering to what direction, which is so important for you. I'm going to show you the screen. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So in our direction, we prefer to keep our locker or safe. If you are at the office or if you are at home, you can keep your locker, your pleasant room, the room that you are spending most of the time, in this direction. And we prefer the main entrance door in this direction. In India, you know, in India, people have prayers room, which they call it puja place. Northeast is the most auspicious direction to have your puja room, your prayer room. And it will help our children to have a peaceful environment. This direction will help them to have a peaceful environment. So we prefer to keep our children also in this direction. Then we have here east, as you can see it. We can have our own bathroom, open space. The kitchen, we never keep it in the north because in Indian ancient science, kitchen is a fire element because we have a stove over there and we cook. And the god of the fire, it's Agni. So this site, this part of the house, it calls Agni Kon. So we prefer to keep the fire next to the fire to balance the energy. We can't keep the water next to the fire because we are interfering in energies. To balance the energy, we prefer to keep our kitchen always this side. And as this north is very auspicious, we don't keep the bathroom and all this side. And then you have, Vastu is very much in details. If you have unmarried children, you have to keep them stay in some specific direction. If you want to have a, better education, the direction of sleep in that room has to be changed. So many details are there and it's very interesting. And I've seen the miracles of Vastu. I had clients which they had plots, big plots. They are very famous. I am not gonna use their names, but they were not able to sell it off for years and years and years. But with the simple changes of Vastu or using the elements which I mentioned, I was able to help them with God's grace to, sell it off or to achieve whatever they were looking for. And the most important thing is, we all have the six senses. You know that. I'm sure that you experience six senses somehow. Some of us receive it through dreams. Some of us are hearing it. We call it clairvoyant. Some of us can see it. Some we feel it. Have you ever experienced that you enter to a place and you don't get the good vibes?
Yes, surely. I have experienced it. I'm sure everybody here has felt the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I always tell to the people, to the clients, I say, use it. Use that feeling. Use that vibe. Use that intuition, because that's the key for anything in life. That's the key. I had 2 projects. I entered and I refused to continue because I didn't get the good vibes. And, I just told them, please clean this. And then please clean this area. Please do I gave him some instruction to do, then I'll come. So what are other things that now I mentioned the cleaning? For example, in Vastu, we involve so many other things like music. Music, we say music brings happiness. For example, we all know that in all the religions and all, when we wake up in the morning, we start praying. They call it in India mantra. They call it mantra. Or you go to the church, you pray. So the music should be there always at your home. And then we have aromatherapy. Aromatherapy is, we use camphor. We use camphor to cleanse the energy in the air. Like Japanese and Chinese are using bells, Nina, or chimes. Yeah. They use chime, they hang chimes. The main point is that we want to just make a soothing sound to make the energy movement and removing the negative energies, the heavy energies, and exchanging it with the soothing light energies. That's how we use the music. And cleaning is very important. If you are living in a room which is so messed up, nothing is organized, there won't be an energy flow. That's why we say donate. That's why we say clean. Because if there is nothing is organized, the energy flow is not there. In Feng Shui, you call energy Qi, we call it prana. It's the same. It's exactly the same. And the sound, as I was saying, music or sound, I was saying, for example, there are few taps at home which are leaking, water leaking. The leakage of water is not positive in Vastu. The cracking doors are not positive. We need to fix them. Broken mirrors are not positive. Drinking water in broken or chipped glasses are not positive. Better to look after it. Okay, and the main focus in Vastu is always about, when it comes to the colors, unlike Feng Shui, it comes to the bright, simple colors, mostly white. We prefer to involve white in whatever we do. So better to avoid dark colors at home, especially at your bedroom. Better to avoid it. For example, I mean, I've seen that, you know, people like to have, when they sleep, they don't want to have the light and they try to, you know, have the shades and all the curtains and all. Yeah, that's nice. You can have the shades behind the curtain, but what you see, it's better to be bright color. It's almost, I can say 85%, 90%, exactly the same things that Nina told us and shared with us. We have it on Vastu as well. Rumi, do you have any questions to ask?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you know, when you get into a space at somebody's house or somebody's office, you know, they say straight lines, and Nina, this goes to you as well. You know, when you enter somewhere and you say it's plain straight lines, it gives you a different feeling. You feel almost like you are liberated. You know, you feel this feeling that you feel good. And in certain houses you walk in, when you walk into their living room, and how should be the setting on the living room? Because some living rooms, people say it's just very inviting. It just feels like it's home. It's just very warm. And is that has to do with the furniture orientation? It has to do with, or is orientation less or more? Or it is also to do with the colors there, or the light and the wind, the way it comes into the living room? Because when we go to a lot of the flats nowadays, people don't live in the houses that they used to live about 20, 30 years ago. As we know that, you know, they used to have nice gardens. Now, because in the urban cities, the space have become very constrained. So everyone's going up, right? So people like to have balconies, have to do something, you know, outdoors. It opens up next to the living room. Somebody enters, they would have a space and there's a balcony where the sort of the light and the wind comes. So does these kind of things make a difference? Because in apartments, you know, it's difficult because you have closed spaces, right? So you have to do within that. And I'm just trying to understand, within those parameters, can you do some things which are a must, essential? Like, for example, the living room, where people like get together, family and friends come, you know, and they get together, new people coming into your house for a dinner, they get together. And also similar thing when you're eating, where a dining space, you know, a lot of the dining space in these days, especially in Europe, where Sophia is, and places like that, you have a working dining space attached to the kitchen. So you have a table and then you have the space, right? And then a lot of the Asian cities, or in Asia, the dining space is separate from the kitchen. Is there something because we are eating, right? And we are meeting, and then we are eating for dinner. Is there anything, I'm sure there is, but in Feng Shui and Vastu practices, kind of make that better? And something, our eyes are so perceptive as human beings. When we see something, if we have the right aesthetics, it starts giving that messages to your brain right away. It's an instantaneous messaging saying that I just feel comfortable here. I don't know what it is. So it could be the energy flow, it could be chi, it could be the space, it could be the color, it could be anything. But it's just something that makes you more welcoming. Anyway, that's the thing I had. I mean, it's a lot of different questions, but I'm just trying to give you, and I'm sure the audience will have also. Please jump in, because we have, anytime, just feel free to come in and ask anything. Nadia, Kindra, Nipa, Sophia, Billy, please, it's just, this is all your event, and just be a part of it. So please feel free. Sarah, Dubai, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Nina, you want to answer? Just go ahead, whatever.
Well, I would be happy to, actually. One thing I can explain, I think, a little bit about Feng Shui as well, and the indoor environment and the outdoor environment, is that, the indoor environment is like, it has its own natural biome, a little bit like the body, and we have to look after that. So lots of fresh air, good ventilation, a good flow of energy, and lots of sunlight, not just ambient daylight, but just some sunlight as well, because sunlight has some very good antibacterial qualities, as we know, and it's very good for us, and it's very good for anything that's living within a space, from the human beings who occupy the space to the animals to the plants. And the other thing is that, if you integrate the indoors and the outdoors, if you put large panes of glass into a space where we can actually see the outdoors, and we have beautiful plantings or a lovely garden outside, even if it's only a balcony or a window box, but something where we can have that relationship between us and nature, it's incredibly important, because it increases our well-being by up to 70% just by doing that. And in spaces where there's less greenery to look out on, especially urban areas, using the color green, which is the most balanced and harmonious color in the spectrum, can actually bring about that feeling that we are still, at one with nature. And funny, even if you put a patient recovering in hospital nearer to the window, they will recover much faster than somebody who's situated away from the views and the light. So views and light and fresh air is very important. And remember, we're living in a very toxic world today. So every single thing that we buy and put into our homes is off-gassing. And those chemicals are called, some of them are called forever chemicals. It's where furnishings are treated, for instance, for flame retardancy, moth resistance, anti-stain, anti-fade, and so on. All of those chemicals are incredibly dangerous. They don't even know if they will break down in 500,000 years' time. And we're ingesting all of that through our skin. We're breathing it in through our lungs. So it's very, very important that we keep that fresh air circulating throughout the house. So open the windows and doors before we go to bed at night to air the bedroom, so that we have a greater chance of inhaling fresher air, not stale, contaminated air that might have biological matter in it. It might have chemicals in it, and is basically very, very toxic for us. And it's good to have lots of clear surfaces within the home. And you're right in what you said, Rumi, that when we walk into home, what is it that attracts us to that space? And it's not one that's very cluttered, where there's chaos all around us. If you see chaos in somebody's environment, then there's chaos going on up here in their head. So that's a poor sign. So the more organized our spaces are, the more it will help us organize our minds. So clear work surfaces will ensure that we task more, that we get more done, that we think more efficiently, we make decisions more clearly. Everything is about speed today, isn't it? It's about getting it done and living our best life.
Yeah. So would you suggest, a lot of people look at like spaces. I mean, a lot of people, some people, there is a sort of notion, and I think Angel, you can actually, tell us about that as well. They want to make it very gaudy, like you have this feeling that you get very ornamental furnitures, and it would look very beautiful, but it looks very full of things. That's something sort of does it go against basically the sort of the holistic perspective, holistic aspect? I mean, you have lots of things filled, and people get a feeling, they go in and say, this is very ornamental. It is just, I mean, paintings are nice, it gives a very nice things when you hang a painting or photography on your walls. But in terms of things, as you were mentioning, there's a lot of chemicals, because if it's wood, it's one thing, but if it's steel, it's other material, it's kind of, it gives off its own toxicity, right? Which we don't realize. We're sort of unaware about it. But some things, yeah, go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, so as you mentioned now, I mean, when it comes to the decoration and using the furnitures, so we always suggest use the wooden one, because it is natural, it belongs to the nature. And we always suggest to never hang sad pictures, sad paintings, paintings of loneliness, paintings of war, fire, angry pictures. I mean, so we suggest do not use that kind of paintings or frames. I mean, now I know this is a fashion now. Lots of people are putting up their ancestors' pictures. Okay, I mean, it's good, but you can only keep it in the library. Okay. We suggest keep the ancestors' pictures in the library. Like, for example, we don't suggest library in the bedroom. Okay, better to not have any library in the bedroom. And also about the dining table, which you asked earlier, is that we always suggest to make it more pleasant. Use the wooden furniture, use the fresh flowers. And your dining room should be very bright. Avoid all the dark colors. You need natural lights and also big chandelier to have the elements of the lights and fire, because we are serving food which is coming from fire. To balance the energy, all the points is just to balance the energy. And as you mentioned, as I said before, you say that you enter to some houses, you say, no, God, this is too much. This is too gaudy. This is too much. So because the energy flow is not there, we don't give it chances to energy to flow.
That's true. And what about, and I'm sure, I mean, I'd love you to, Nina, come in, and Nipa, especially, all of you, Philip, what about electrical gadgets? It's at least the last 20 years, 15 years, do we keep the television into our bedroom? Do we keep it in a certain particular part of the house? I mean, apart from everybody has become internet junkie, not everybody, a lot of the generations, that my generation and after that, I mean, we got all the internets halfway through our lives, but our children and the next generations, it's just gone, it's just gone all over the place, and they can't live without gadgets or on, big TV on screen, and whether you're playing video games, whether you're playing, doesn't matter. So is there any place that it shouldn't be in a house or an apartment? Is there something, an electrical radiation, something? I mean, they say they have, anyway, I just wanted to get a view of. And please, Nipa, everybody, just feel free to jump in and ask anytime, please.
I'd like to mention something about electromagnetic stress energy. That is, you're right, Rumi, in that we're more and more subject, aren't we, to all this stress from the environment. One thing I would say is never carry your mobile phone in your handbag if you're a woman. Always hold it down off your shoulder in your hand, or in your handbag in your hand. And for men, not to put their mobile phone in their trousers, because this is what's increasing breast cancer and prostate cancer as well. And also computers, as you said, and all this Wi-Fi and so on. Yes, we need modern conveniences. And what we have to do is just try and balance, modern conveniences with the amount of electromagnetic stress. So I just do not believe in microwaves. Full stop. You know, if you're going to microwave your food, then don't expect to live a long and healthy life. And the other thing is that plants are very, very helpful within the indoor environment, except not in bedrooms because they steal the oxygen at night from the atmosphere. So please don't put plants in bedrooms, but use plants throughout the house. They help to filter the air and control pollution and regulate the temperature. And, you know, they keep the humidity levels right. There's so much can be said for plants. And on top of that, they do absorb some of those pollutants and prevent that harm from reaching us. Apart from the sense of well-being that they give us as well. And, you know, that's another living thing within the environment. There's good positive chi from plants. The Boston fern is actually very well recommended for absorbing electromagnetic stress from TVs and computers. And with regard to televisions, I mean, I think everybody at this stage has probably got televisions in every room in the house. And in a lot of countries, there's a TV in every bedroom. And that's just something that you have to control yourself. It's, you know, it is an addiction as well. And they deliberately put on programs very late at night, so you're just too tired the next night to do anything active. You'll switch on the TV and do the lazy thing instead. So be careful about television controlling you, and limit the amount that you have it on. That's really the best thing. You know, these TVs today, especially the latest QLED models and so on, they're very much about, you know, you have to have only 5 foot, maybe 6 foot maximum between you and the screen in order to get the benefits of the screen and the features. So I think that no matter what we do, life is, you know, pushing us more and more towards unhealthy living, you know, so I think it's about balance, isn't it? We have to exercise balance.
Just one quick one. You said about trousers, you know, mobile phones and trousers. Where do you keep your mobile phones? I mean, normally
Hold it in your hand
for men,
or leave it on the desk. Yeah.
okay, so would you put it on the belt? Was that be something little?
No,
Yeah.
don't have it close to the body. Keep it in your hand when you're walking along, for instance, or if you're at home, keep it away from you. And if you're charging your phone, don't forget a phone becomes far more radioactive, if you like, gives off an awful lot more radiation at night. So don't leave a mobile phone too close to your head at night, and don't charge it beside your bed at night. Charge it first before you go to bed. And for some people who live alone, you know, a mobile phone is quite important to have near to the bed, but just keep it a little bit of distance away from your head. Very important. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're
Not a lot of
talking,
ranges.
yeah, it's another thing about plants you were mentioning about, you know, you have balcony of terrace. So we like to put a lot of flowers, a lot of plants there, which is very, you feel very good. You feel like you've got a sort of a garden, a mini garden.
Mini
right
garden.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, anyway, I mean, I would really encourage, really ask Nipa, any of you, Sophia, anything you'd like to ask or share even, you know, anything, please do. Felipe, you know, you all come from different cultures. Anna just joined us from Denmark. Hi, Anna, how are you?
Philippe wants to say something.
Yeah, sure. Philippe, please.
I enjoy very much the presentation. Especially some things that actually it's a kind of battle that I have. I'm very organized in my own space. So my house is always kind of a lab, and people think that I'm a bit crazy because everything is in place, and I hate, and I have discomfort on seeing a mess. So if I go to an office and I put it in a desk that is a mess, I cannot work well. It creates a problem with me. So I need, even if I'm in a hotel room, I think the cleaning ladies are very happy with me because everything is in place. I never have things around. But there was one thing that I heard that gave me a bit of curiosity because it was not explained. Why not flush every single time the toilet?
With the toilet. Okay, well, first and foremost, just to mention as well, for desks, don't ever face your desk towards the toilet because nothing good will come from anything that you do at that desk. The point of not flushing the toilet too often is that it's a wasting, draining energy, and it actually takes away the financial benefits and the nutritional benefits and the health energy of the house. You know, toilets were never designed to be in houses. And it wasn't until Victorian times, in Europe anyway, that we started to, bring the toilet into the house. And now every home that's being built new has a toilet under the stairs, which is a very, very serious taboo. Toilets off every bedroom, guest toilets, the family bathroom, and so on and so forth. So we're ending up flushing all these different toilets all the time. And if you do that, you won't have money. It's as simple as that. So if you want to preserve and conserve your health energy, if you want to preserve and conserve your financial wealth and your fortunate blessings and all the gifts and talents that we're born with as well, all of that is all about harnessing that chi, harness the positive energy and hold on to it. Don't waste it, don't throw it away. And interesting, I might mention something here, and I hope that's helpful to you, Philippe, now. But I might mention something here about timing as well. There are certain years when everything becomes a little bit more restricted and constricted. And at the moment, we're coming into that time now. There's a very big change in time cycles coming up between this 20-year cycle that we're in at the moment, which is ranged by the number 8, and it's very much about Mother Nature, about food, and about the stomach, and about cookery and restaurants and chefs and artisan foods and gourmet foods and organic foods and so on, and about women and about women leadership and women coming up in the world. And we've seen all of that happening within this 20-year period. So that's a very accurate reflection of what has been happening anyway. But the next 20-year period is governed by fire. And actually we're in a year at the moment, which is the year of the water tiger, which is all about aggression. And what happens is, as we get closer and closer to the new 20-year period starting in 2024, we're definitely going to be finding ourselves, with this very polarized pool of energy happening, and more conflict, and more likelihood of world recession, and shortages of food, natural disasters, climate change playing its role, of course. But this is unfortunately due to happen one way or another. It's like time, we'll do this, and it trumps us. We don't have that much control over it. So now is the time for growing your own food. Now is the time for trying to resolve conflict and not get into any form of war if possible. And it's also time when 9 will be the reigning number as it happens, which means that it will be all about spiritual development, professional advancement, personal growth. It will be all about developing in every way, in harmony with nature. And I don't know, I'm sure most people have heard of Maslow's hierarchy, where we're actually developing all the time anyway as a species. So we're moving more and more towards spiritual development and enhancing our lives in a different way. And as you said, Angel, it's very much about that sort of sixth sense now, not just about, food and shelter and, scientific developments and advancements. It's now, we are now looking to, what is beyond our life, and how can we find out more about that? And how do we develop ourselves in such a way that we become more advanced? So that's what I would mention.
Thank you. Sophia, you had a question. I think something you were coming on to chat. Sophia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Rumi. Sorry, there's occasionally a bit of noise in the background. Yeah, I was just wondering, we are in quite a unique environment in our in my life. So we are 3 generations living in a 9,000 square foot home. So there's space for everyone to kind of have their own area, but everybody's got a very distinct and different personality. So for example, based on what the lady was saying earlier about in marriages, for example, one person being a West person and the other being an East person and not working. For example, my husband is a fire and I'm a wood element person, I believe, from what we've been told from others, which should work quite well. But we're also living with 79-year-old twins that are a very different sign from us. So how do we approach this from a furnishings or a position or color perspective in our lives to make sure that we can keep the peace?
Is it okay to answer this, Rumi? I would first and foremost mention that the kitchen will control the harmony in the household. That's where the family harmony stems from. So just going back to the dates of birth, if you like, and I don't know if this would be okay to do, but if you like, I can just check the date of birth for the twins and just see what their element is and how that works with your own element. Would that be okay? Is that?
That would be fabulous. They are 4th of September 1944.
1944, born in the year of the wood monkey. Very clever, very funny, very entertaining, actually. Very intelligent indeed, and very good at problem solving. Very balanced though, and should be people who can get along, especially the two of them together now. Are they both the same sex?
No. So everything you just said describes perfectly the male. The female's slightly different.
Slightly
Funnily
different.
enough.
Yeah. So the female, she's East group, whereas the male is West group. So the two of them have a little conflict going on because communication is an issue for them. One says the cat sat on the mat and the other hears the cat ate the rat. It sounds similar, but has a completely different meaning. Can I just double check? Would you mind if I checked your date of birth and your husband's just to be certain of exactly who's, because the elements decide whether people would get along. Communication is a skill, so we can work on that, but we can't change the elements. Would you be okay to give me the 2 years of birth?
Absolutely. So he is 29th of January 1978, and I am 3rd of February 1986.
So he's a fire snake and he's West group. And you said you were in 1986, what month?
February, 3rd of February.
3rd of February. Oh, okay. So you're in Oxwood, and you're East group. So you have a communication issue with your husband. You say something, he hears something else, but your husband has the last say. You get along very, very well, all of you. He's very impatient, likes everything done yesterday, very quick-minded, very alert, quite funny, shoots from the hip, you know, has a short, you know, attention span at times. You probably think he doesn't listen, but it's not that he doesn't listen, it's just that he can't hear you. You say something to him and it's like gobbledygook, so you have to talk to him directly. Not throw the remark over the shoulder while you're washing the dishes or something. But he's actually a snake and you're a fire. So there's a little bit of a personality thing going on between the two of you, but actually the relationship is very good. You're extremely supportive of him. So, you know, the relationship itself is actually fine, even between the two monkeys and yourselves. But the monkeys like to win. They like to win out. So you have a little bit of an issue more with your kitchen, I would say, than you have so much with the dates of birth. Does that make sense?
It's absolutely spot on. You couldn't have been, you know, more correct if, you know, if you'd met us all and knew all elements of the story.
Yeah.
And in fact, we considered building a new kitchen because it has been the point of contention. So that's so funny that you would, you know, highlight that.
Yeah, no, you just, it's very, you know, you have to remember with the kitchen, it's all about, you know, just to explain this to everybody, the kitchen is all about relationships and health. And the bedroom also pertains to relationships and health. They're the two things that the bedroom and the kitchen are most responsible for. Whereas the sitting room is much more about investments and about building wealth and so on. So each area of the home pertains to different things. So yeah, the kitchen is responsible for the lack of family harmony. So that is where I would start if I were you. And I think you'll find that that will make a very big difference. The other thing that you have to bear in mind as well is that if the kitchen is sitting in a certain sector at the moment now, the center of everybody's homes is being afflicted by a certain type of energy that has come about for 2022. So at the moment in May and June, don't do any work, anybody in any home, because you will upset the balance. So May and June is not the time. Throw a party, do anything loud like hammering or banging or playing loud music in the home, or any kind of renovation or redecoration works during May and June. Just avoid it altogether. And for yourself, I think that you have to be careful of when you tackle the kitchen. It might not be good to tackle that at the moment, depending on which sector of the home that it falls into. So timing is everything, isn't it, in life? There's no point in doing something during a bad time. It's better to wait till it's a good time.
This is very, very interesting in terms of relationships. I mean, I wonder when architects actually look at something, I think this should be part of an integration. I mean, apart from the fact of ancient practices or Taoist, how one looks at it, but at least these certain elements of relationship, not looking at horoscopes only, but looking at, like what you said, the kitchen and all these kind of things. I think it's very, very important when you actually design as an architect, right? So I'm just curious why it has not been integrated much more in a lot of the architectural sort of, I wouldn't say digest,
but you're so right, Rumi. Yeah. I mean, look,
I'm just, anyway, I mean, anybody else? I mean, please, Nipa, you're in Singapore, which is a clinically an amazing city. I mean, it's always sort of, I don't know how you call it, but everything is sort of all organized. I don't know about, and then Slavica, you're there. You're in Croatia. We have Slavica from Croatia, and Sofia is from the UK in London. So Slavica, you live in Zagreb. So I'm just trying to understand how you look at and how does these kind of, how you look at it from where you are. So anyway, I'll leave it open. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Obviously in Singapore, a lot of the feng shui principles are used in building and in homes, in companies. So that's why I was very, very fascinated to hear about both feng shui and vastu. And in particular, actually, before you started talking about the astrology aspect, that was going to be one of my questions, particularly the animal signs, the Chinese astrological signs. So when you started talking about that, I found that really very interesting. But I wasn't aware about the cycles, the 20-year cycles and so on. That's something, that's new to me. So do you have some more information about that? You can.
Angel, feel free to come in, jump in, and anything you want to share, please feel free. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much. I've just mentioned one small thing actually to Sophia as well, is that her husband was the fire tiger. And this year is a bad year for him, a very bad year, in that it's, when it's your own sign, if for instance, he's a tiger and it's the year of the tiger, so he's going to be twice as tired in himself. And so it's a good time for him to lie low and do very little, get extra sleep, eat a more, nutritious, balanced diet that's more easily digested, stay away from red meat, for instance. And the other thing to bear in mind as well is that his element is fire, and this is a water year, and water quenches fire. So I just want to mention that because I think a lot of people think, again, that feng shui is all about interiors and about furniture placement or about decluttering or pretty colors and so on. It is not just about that. It's actually about the 5 elements. It's about working in harmony with those elements, and it's making sure that the people are doing well. So you look after the people first and then the property. So, Anipa, if you like, I can quickly do your date of birth. I'm happy to just show another example if you want. I mean, also not talk too much.
Yeah,
so,
sorry. Thanks a lot, Nina. I just wanted to just have one point. I mean, absolutely feel free to communicate and at length on a thing. I don't want to keep anybody sort of getting too bored or just maybe they'll have some place to go, but I'd like to give chance to anybody who'd like to share or ask anything. I mean,
Romy?
Yes.
Rumi, I want to answer the lady about the astrology and vastu as well. So in India, we have another ancient science, which we call it Vastu Astro, which is based on your astrological date of birth and all, which give us the knowledge as that which element you are and what are the other external elements which can help you to lead a happy, successful life. For example, if you were born in this, the month of June, 12 June 1974, for example, then the planets, the power of the planets, the situation and direction of the planets on that day, it tells us a lot. Okay, so then I can help you to make your life in an easier way. For example, I can tell you the stone which is powerful on the Mercury or on Jupiter or on Sun or on Moon. Okay, for example, the stone which is very powerful on Sun is ruby. I'm just giving you example. So you were born in Sun, in the month of Sun, in the sign of Sun. So if you are wearing the ruby, it will help you. It will help you a lot. So that's very details. I mean, if I go to that Astro Vastu in India, it is too much of details, and it brings lots of complications until unless we sit, you know, together face to face, and I do it only for you based on your data. That's it.
Sure.
Yes, we do have Vastu Astra also.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the Europe and Asia, I mean, well, Asia is a pretty bit large, I mean, the Far East, the Orient. Of course, it has the feng shui and Vastu sort of, you know, kind of originated from there, and it spread to the West. But I think the West is quietly adopting a lot of the practices now. I mean, Nina is, you know, a bright example of, you know, what's happening in Ireland. But I find something quite interesting, and I you know, this is just my view. I think in some ways, in the West, at least in Ireland, which I only see in pictures because I've never visited. I've been in the UK many times, but just never been around to just cross over. But it seems to me a lot of the spaces in Europe are actually decluttered. I mean, a lot of the places I see, it's actually very organized. Unfortunately, in many respects, in parts of Asia, particularly South Asia, where there's, of course, the huge populations densities we have in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Singapore is a different story, but even in the Far East, I think Thailand, you know, there's a lot of population density, right? So I don't see that decluttering so much. I see it's more and more things have been sort of piled up in spaces, right? Even if you go to stores or, you know, just shops or something, right? And I kept wondering why, because these ancient practices and Angel, you're Iranian, so you know the Zoroastrian sort of you know the elements of fire. I mean, things also Iran is quite interesting of the very ancient cultures there. But what I don't understand, there seems to be a disconnect that why have we not adopted to a lot of these kind of, I mean, if you go to China, you would see in the cities, you see everything piled up and there's not enough space. And what's very interesting is that where it originated from, that has become more thing oriented, or spaces are kind of, you know, are not what it's supposed to be. But in the West, and Nadia, I don't know, Nadia has also joined us from South Africa, Nadia Mir. She travels a lot in Africa and other parts of the world. I don't know how in the West it's actually been more organized. I mean, and this part of the world has kind of lost its essence. This is my kind of, I sometimes wonder, and this is just something I wanted to share, that's all. I never understood that very well. You know, I mean, I know you, Angel, you know what I'm talking about. You go to Delhi, you go to, you know, some of these markets, you know, you just see everything is just so congested. So
I think, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it also related to the population as well.
okay.
To the population, because when the more that you come to this side of the world, I mean the India and all, the population is more, and plus the geographical energy. As we are talking about the energy, the geographical energy of our countries, it makes a huge effect on the lifestyle as well.
Okay. the weather, the everything, the climate.
There is a city in a city in Delhi, in the Delhi NCR, in this area that I live, which they used to call it Gorgaon. Okay, so they changed the name. Why they changed the name? Because they believed the number of the name, the numerology of the name, because when you come in India, these things are all related: numerology, names, alphabet, everything they connected to the energy, which I also believe it has effect. So they changed the name. And so after that, so many successful things are happening, surprisingly, which is great. But I believe that the more that you come to this side of the world, the Asia and all, population is there, and then the energy of this part is more chaotic, more congested. The energy flow is less.
I see. Okay.
And also, I want to add this point of hygienic.
Yes.
As we were talking earlier about the cleaning and all, as Philippe mentioned that how particular and clean he is. I mean, so, but I mean, the hygiene is also there is a lack of hygiene in this part of the country. I mean, in this part of the world as well, which makes things a bit more chaotic. This is my belief. Please correct me.
No, it's good to get all kinds of point of view. And I think we had a very, very good run. And I think, from, as we have people all across the world, I mean, except North America, because there's a different time zone. I think, any further thing, I'd encourage you, please feel free to communicate. And in the future, that One Step Beyond, by the way, it's an initiative I started last year, and you can go and visit our website. And what we are planning to do is having workshop in unique locations with such workshop with retreats. And that's the concept. So I welcome any of your ideas, and I'm looking forward to have you in one of our retreats and workshops, which I'm organizing, and anybody wants to come and help me organize, please feel free. We have some amazing locations in mind. It's to actually give people to go delve more deeper into these holistic aspects. And of course, these are all science and art all combined together. So from performing arts to filming, the photography, to music, dance, everything, it has an intricate connection to our mind, body, and soul. And this is the whole purpose of One Step Beyond, really. It's always one in my mind. I write and I travel. I love to do that. So that's really what got me going on this. And I really welcome you to all be a part of this journey. And we will soon close, but any last comments or questions or something? Slavica, anything, or Nadia? I'll leave it to you guys.
Arumi, thank you for organizing this. It was very interesting. I'm sorry I joined you late. I'm in UK at the moment. I just wanted to say that I think that focus on Feng Shui is also and decluttering and integrating Feng Shui into design. I think that that's relatively common in my region, and I'm talking primarily about Croatia. There are books that have been published. There are certain people that are becoming specialized in that area. But unfortunately, I think that we are still very far from integrating it in a daily life. I think that we still have a long way to go. But so participating in any kind of seminars definitely seems to be appealing, and I would definitely try to do everything to join you and help you if I could.
Thank you very much. Any last comments, anything? Thank you very much to Nina and Angel. It's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
And for you to share your enriching knowledge, wisdom, and thoughts.
I want to add one thing, the last thing maybe.
Sure.
Which I came across so many people and they asked me, because so we travel all around the world, and with all the respect and love for all the religions and all the belief and everything. So I came across lots of people, they are asking me, okay, if you're following certain religion, is it okay to use, for example, Vastu or Feng Shui? So I want to make it clear here in this webinar that we have. All of these sciences are not, they have nothing to do with religion because we are working on energy. Okay, so it's based on energy, nothing to do with religion. I mean, yeah, I mean, whosoever is following, I respect that, but we are just, the focus is just making environment so positive and pleasant for a happy life.
Right. Thank you.
I
That's it.
totally agree. That's such a worthwhile point to make, Angel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maruf, anything? Maruf, you want to talk anything or whatever?
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I know I joined a little late. I'm sorry, but the little I got was extremely amazing. So thank you to Nina and everybody else for making your invaluable comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And Kindra, any last comments? Kindra, are you there, my friend? Yeah, are you there, Kindra? He's actually from North India. Maybe he's not there. Kindra, are you there? Maybe.
Hi.
Yeah. Just anything.
Fantastic session. And can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, fantastic session. And interestingly, I'm in the process of building up a new place for myself. So I was trying to pick up ideas and see that if my architect has done things in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, very, very interesting, learned new things. So yeah, very, very nice.
Great, thank you, Kindra. Kindra is from North India. It's based now in Delhi. So anyway.
I'm based out of Dehradun now.
Oh, Dehradun. Okay, that's a lovely place, by the way. Yeah, it's the hill station. No, so we have a very wide sort of audience today. So you have Croatia, we have Dehradun, we have South Africa, we have, all across. Nadia, are you still there or are you gone? She joined us a while back from South Africa, from Durban. Are you there, Nadia? Nadia, are you there? She's probably on mute. I think she's on mute. Anyway, thank you very, very much for joining us today. And I'm going to give a heads up on what our next event is going to be and what the subject. But if you ever feel anything that is connected holistically, please let us know the subject or the area that you'd like to have some interest to listen to, organize webinar, workshops. We will certainly try to bring it to you, and let's be all part of this journey. Even though you've joined as audiences, please feel free to be a part of this initiative that I started, and however small, but it could lead to something interesting, something that benefits us all. Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring it to a closure. Once again, thank you very much, and much appreciated. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Rumi, for organizing it. It was great. Thanks a lot to the speakers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you, Rumi.
Okay,
Angel.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And thank you. Bye, everyone.
Nina, which part of Ireland are you from? Are you in?
Well, I'm actually based on the borders of Tipperary and Waterford in the southeast of the country.
Oh, lovely. Is that near Cork?
It isn't too far from Cork. I'm only about an hour and a half's drive from Cork City, actually.
Oh,
yes.
Lovely. Yeah, the last time I was there, I was in Cork to see my friends, and it was an amazing place. So a very short visit. I spent a weekend there, but a lovely little fishing village. So next time I'll look you up, Nina.
Yes, do. Absolutely.
Well, I look forward to, Nina, I look forward to go to Cork, and I want to do a bike trail or whatever, a running trail. I do run on the country. So yeah, wonderful, wonderful guys. Great, great. And then lovely. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ruby.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, everyone.
No
Bye.
worries. Take care. Bye now. Bye now.